Hello everyone, it's Comfort Beach Ambish and welcome to the last episode on PHP loops. So this time we're going to learn about the PHP for each loops. Yeah, so PHP for each loops, unlike the other loops, only works only on PHP arrays or just on arrays. Yeah, so PHP for each loop. So what you just have to know is that PHP for each loops only work on PHP arrays, unlike what we're doing previously on loops. Okay, so talking is always cheap, so let's get started. So I'm going to start the syntax here. Okay, so things that you're going to be doing here will be I'm going to create an array, and then an array I'm going to cycle it through. Yeah, so let's say uh I'm going to say capital cities. Okay, so let me use something different. Uh car car by model is equals to no, so it's going to make sense. Okay, let's just use capital cities is equals to, and then this time I would like to use this method of creating an array, and then I'm going to say Lusaka, um, mm, Johannesburg. No, I don't know how it's spelled. Abuja, Abuja, and what else? Abuja, but the switch. Dar es Salaam, Dar es Salaam. Uh, Here we're passing New York. Yeah, New York. Let's go. Okay, let's also uh, eliminate some so that yes, let's just go, and then let's say Benjin. Yeah. In case of my spellings, I do apologize for that. In case of my incorrect spellings, I do apologize for that. Yeah. So let's go. Okay, so you see here we have this array which we have named capital cities, and it has a collection of Lusaka, Abuja, Dar es Salaam up to Beijing here. And let me say it again. Sorry if I have written any incorrect spelling on these names of the capital cities. Yeah, so let's go. Let's get started. Okay, so now we have this collection. So now let's say we would want to display each of them in a loop. Yeah, like in a sequential manner, starting from Lusaka to Benjin here. Benjin. Yeah. Okay. What do we do? We just have I always like starting with the formula. Always like starting with the formula. Let me create a text file. Yeah, a text file. And then I'm going to say for each. So it's always starts like this for each. So always use the for each keyword, and then what to iterate, or what to cycle through, what to iterate, and then as, and then here let's say alias. So how? So let's, and then code executes here. Okay, so here let's get to understand how this works. So here in the heading, this is where you set what you would like to do. So here, first parameter, this should be an array, always an array, the actual array, and then as you give it a nickname of which you the name that you'd like to use to iterate it through. Yeah, so code executes here, and then when this condition matches, it executes. So how this happens is that it always counts. It will run up to the exact number of values or elements in an array. So in our case, we have one, two, three, four, five. So if we had to cycle through capital cities in a for each loop, it will run up to 5 times. Okay, so let's follow this formula and try to work around this array which we have with the capital cities. So let's go for each. So this for each loop is very important. You need to make sure that you understand it, because uh, I think how I could say is that it brings more experience to PHP, and it is very powerful in PHP. Okay, so we say for each, so we follow this same formula. So for each, what to iterate? What do you want to iterate through? So we want to iterate through capital cities. Okay, let's give it an alias, or let's just say a name. So let's say a nickname that we'd like to access each and every value here. So let's say I want to access each and every value as a city. Okay, so for now, each and every time you want to access anything inside these capital cities, you need to use the city. Okay, let's try to display echo city, and then let's concatenate break. Okay, okay, so let's try to run that file. I named it episode 12 for each. Okay, let's run it together. Seems like my XMP has stopped. Okay, so you see, we have Lusaka, Abuja, Dar es Salaam, and New York running here. So, which means the displaying of these values in an array has become very easy. So here, what I was trying to do is I was trying to echo the variable city. So, like I said, we can't just echo to say city and then a string. So we need to concatenate a variable onto a string. So we use this point to concatenate a dot to concatenate, and then which, so if I had to remove this break, we're going to find that everything will be in a single line, which is which doesn't make our code look pretty. Okay, XMP is dying on. Okay, so you see, it has shown in a single line, but we don't want that. So that's the reason why we're using the break, the BR. We are concatenate, we are adding this string here. Yeah, so this is how we use, this is how you can work around with an array in PHP. So it doesn't matter whether it's a named array or just a simple array. So for the basic understanding about PHP array, I would recommend you watch episode 4, where we introduced each other to PHP arrays. Yeah, sorry about my background. It could be a little bit of noisy. Okay, so let's say now let's go to named array. Let's say if we say a number of an individual, let's display an age. So let's say age by person. Age by person is equals to, we're going to say array. I know in the last episode we were using something like this on arrays, but like I said, it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that you guys get adapted uh, to both of the methods. But the preference is up to you. You could pick any. Yeah, so let's go array, and then uh, let's say if we say Tzenge, and then what's the age of Tzenge? Let's say 21. Okay, if we say uh, Ephraim, what's the age of Ephraim? Let's say uh, 23. No, let's say 24. Okay, so Niza, what's the age of Niza? Let's say 21. Yeah, 21. Elijah, what's the age of Elijah? Let's give it uh 20. Let's give it 20. Yeah. So here what you have done here is that instead of using these indexes to say starting an array count starting from 0, 0, 1, 2 up to 3, up to index 3 here, we don't want any of that. So what you want here is to just give them, just give the indexes the name, replace those indexes with the names. Okay, so now I'm going to comment out this one for the cities, for the cities. Yeah, so let's try to display age by person now. So what do we do? We follow the same syntax for each age by person. What are you trying to cycle through? So we're trying to cycle through age by person variable array as as let's say person. Let's say person. So if you want to access this age by person inside this loop, we are going to use the person variable. So let's try that. Let's say echo uh person, echo person. Okay, br. Okay, let's see. So it's that unexpected token expecting. Okay, where's that for each? Oh, I think I forgot to. Wait a minute. Okay, where's the error coming from on line 5? So unexpected token uh expecting on line 5. What's on line 5? Okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I misspelled the spelling of array. Instead of ARY, it's supposed to be array like this. So kindly make sure that you correct your code. Okay, so now let's try to run it together here from the browser. You see, we have 21, 24, 21, 20. So we're starting with the first index. So for the first indexed Zenge, we have 21, Ephraim, 24, up to index Elijah. Okay, so now here it is. There's another way of like trying of displaying. Let's say if we display if we display Zenge, we also display its value. So now there's another way of adding that to the alias. So we could just say uh key. We could, okay, let's say we want to display person. Let's say we would want to display the index and the value here. Okay, so let's go. What do we do? So here we just have to say key and then value. Value. Okay, key value. So let's try to say key. Let's try to display all the keys that we have. Okay, so we have the keys Tzenge, Ephraim, Niza, and Elijah. So these are the indexes. So if you want to display their indexes, you could just use this approach here. This approach. Yeah, this approach. So here, let's go back together and make sure that each of us understands. So at first we're using this approach here to display the values. So now this approach only displays, so this approach only displays the values. So to display 21, 24, and the likes, so it only displays the values. Now what if you also want to display the index and the value that each index holds? That's where for each loop has something called key, and value. So how do we do that? So we could just simply write in here to say age by person key, and then kindly note that this only works to named arrays like this, and it will not yeah, and it's not a good fit for this, for the simple arrays. Okay, unless otherwise, but let's go. So we say key. So let's, if you want to display now the key, which is the index, you need to use this variable. Now let's also, in a scenario but also want to display the value that it holds. This is where we ping it to value. So now what you're trying to do here is age by person, which is a named array. And then now we can access the key and the value, which is the index and the value on that index. Yeah, so now I'm going to delete this and echo to say, uh, let's say I want to display key, and then I concatenate it. I add some space. Maybe I add these. Okay, add the colons, and then I just say I type in value. Okay, so now here, what is going to display here, whenever it comes to the first value, which is Tzenge, it's going to display Tzenge and the value that Tzenge holds by using key for index and the value and value variable for value. Okay, so now let's try out that together. Okay, let's try out that together. Okay, you see, we have Tzenge. Okay, let me add some more. Let me add a break. BR. Let's add a break. Okay, so you see, Tzenge, it shows 21. So the index Tzenge, it has a value of 21. The index Ephraim, it has a value of 24, up to Elijah here, which has the value of 20. So that's how we can use the for each loop in PHP. So like I said, always just take note of this, that the for each loop in PHP only works on PHP arrays, either on simple arrays or the named arrays. Yeah, so at first we played around with a simple array. Well, we wanted to display these values here. So we started with a simple array, and then we went to a named array. So for now, we're going to end from here. Whew, it's been a journey, geez. So see you in the next episode, people, and don't forget uh, to invite your fellow programmers who would want to go to come along with us, or would like to go with us, to be precisely. Cheers.